What is up, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of Winning Picks Weekly. I'm your host today, Greg Albert, and with me, as always, is Chip Murphy, Chip Murphy7 on Twitter. What's going on, Chip?
I'm good, man. Can't believe it's week 12.
I
It
know.
don't- I mean, if the college football season's almost over, it feels like, but it's the big games are coming. We got Ohio State, Michigan coming. I'm very excited about that, but this week's huge too.
Yeah, I was talking with John about that too, and he's like, dude, college football is like we're at the halfway point. We still have the big games. We still have
Yeah,
all bowl season. Like
the
we got a
bowl
lot
season's the
left.
best. Yeah,
Yeah, so when those bowl games start dying down, that's when I really get depressed. But seeing week 12, that scared me a little bit. And NFL is like kind of in that midway, halfway point. So enjoying it though, enjoying it. Had an okay week last week. I think I was 7-8. So still nothing great. Trying to get back over 500 on my weekly bets, but
did
88
you
and
play
80 on the
Maction?
season.
Did you play Maction at all?
No, not too much. Didn't really do too much action. Um, didn't really do too much during the week this week. Been busy the last 2 weeks or so. But what about you? Have you been playing the action bets?
I've played every Maction game
Oh
so
man,
far,
I saw it
pretty
was the Central
much.
Michigan, Western Michigan last
Oh,
night in the snow. There's a lot of good ones. Anything good? Anything good to report for the people out
cla-
there?
classic. Have to look at the weather forecast before you place a bet. Just playing in a snowstorm. I don't know about anything good. I do know that one thing to do is to make sure never to trust the Mac.
Oh yeah.
Specifically when it comes to Toledo, the preseason favorite, who, even though they lost their starting quarterback before the game, Daquan Finn, who's one of the best players in the conference, they were still favored by 2 touchdowns to beat Bowling Green. And Bowling Green went up 21-0 on them. A
Yeah.
2 touchdown dog. Yeah. Bowling Green, of course, a team that I bet like all year, and I bet against them because I don't know why. I don't even
Yeah.
remember why. Who cares? I bet against them, and I bet the under, and just basically you can't trust the Mac. It just it always changes, and it's weird, and I don't know. Mac is weird this year, but
Yeah.
I'm glad I placed a future bet on Ohio as quick as I did because it looks like they really could win the conference.
Yeah, they started to show out pretty good. I know when we talked preseason, we had a couple thoughts on who was going to be good, and it's flipped on its head.
And
So,
we were wrong about Miami of Ohio.
yep, that's for sure. That's for sure. So,
Big time.
yeah. And I mean, it's always fun, though. I love the weather starting to get involved. They're talking about out in Buffalo, 3 feet of snow.
Oh
Now they're
yeah,
going to move the
they moved
football
the game.
game.
Yeah.
I mean, the weather's here. It's cold. It's cold in the Northeast. It's going to start getting cold all over. So, yeah, definitely weather's definitely something to think about. Definitely something to look for in these games. Speaking of looking forward to these games, Chip, let's get into our best bets of the week. I want to look real quick and see how I did last week on my bets. I believe I was 1-2. Tulane killed me. I hate UCF. They're the absolute worst. Georgia, rock solid for me again. And then Illinois let me down big time last week. So I got them as a spite pick coming up. But before we get to that, let's get to our best bets, Chip. So why don't you start us off? What's your first best bet of the Week 12 slate?
Okay, we were talking about this before,
Mhm.
and I know we were talking about Spencer Sanders before too.
Yeah.
And I just love Bedlam. It's one of my favorite games of the year, and I know I'm going to be watching it. And I know Oklahoma is in Oklahoma this year. I don't really care. That game's always crazy. I got to take the over. Over the total right now on DraftKings, I'm looking at it is 66. I don't really care. I'm going way over. That game's always nuts. I love it. I'm taking the over in Bedlam, Oak State, Oklahoma.
Is it the last Bedlam for a while? Right? Or is next
Oklahoma's
year
going to the
last?
SEC.
Yeah, is it next year the last one? I can't remember now,
I
but
feel like you always hear like, is Oklahoma and Texas staying in the Big 12 another year? Are they going? I don't know. It's conflicting stuff, right?
yeah, and I feel like there was a big deal about them ending the series of Bedlam when they
Oh
moved
yeah,
to the
they are.
SEC, but when
They
that
are.
is, I'm not sure exactly.
I think they're ending it. Gundy said like they're not gonna do it anymore, right? I think he
Yeah,
had like a thing. Yeah.
yeah. So, I'm with you. I usually like Oak State. I'm just not sure about Spencer Sanders. and his injury. Then the backup QB for Spencer Sanders that started, I think, last week got hurt
And
2 weeks
came in
ago.
like Willis Reed, yeah.
Yeah, the third string guy got hurt, and Spencer Sanders, I think, came back in for a little bit. I don't know exactly what's going on at the QB position. I'm addicted to the unders, Chip. I had some absolutely electric unders last week. I was looking at the game summaries to remind myself of the games. Iowa, I don't know how that didn't go over. I think they had it in the red zone late in the game, and they ended up not scoring
I'll tell
under
you how it didn't go
35.
over. It's Iowa. That's how it didn't go over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they had like 3 chances from like the 2-yard line or something like that. Couldn't get it in. Not sure why they were going for it because I think they were up points. UNC, that under last week was absolutely electric. Hitting that because that was for sure going over. And then I think the second half of the fourth quarter started and there was just absolutely no points. Yeah, second half or fourth quarter. Going into the fourth quarter, they needed 10, 14 points, and they were scoring points left and right. The over-under was 74, 77 or something like that. They scored 3 points in the fourth quarter between Wake Forest and North Carolina,
Yeah.
and that hit. That was awesome. So I'm going back to it, man. It's the Bedlam. It might be the last Bedlam. I'm going the under on this one, under 66.5 for me.
You think the last Bedlam's going to be a low-scoring game?
I think so, man. I'm addicted to the unders. They're just as fun as the overs. I don't care what anyone says. They might be more electric. I don't know, but
I don't know about that.
I hate that we're
don't.
starting off head-to-head though on your first best bet.
Hey, if I were you, I'd fade me too. I've been brutal, so I don't blame you. And I have like 3 unders so far on my card. So
See,
it's not like
it's not just me. It's not just me. The unders are fun. Another game I think could go under, but I'm just so confident in one side bouncing back. For my first best bet of the week, it's Clemson. Clemson minus 19. They need to win. They need to win big against Miami. Miami just outright stinks. They're just bad.
They're so bad.
They're so bad. I'm trying to think of the standings right now, or the where they're at. But Clemson's 9 right now.
Yeah,
they need to win.
College football playoff.
Yeah, they need to win to get in this playoff. So I think they're going to come out swinging. Last week was just a very bad week. Or 2 weeks ago against Notre Dame was a bad one. They bounced back pretty good against Louisville, but now they're home against Miami. Miami, I think, has a little bit more cachet than Louisville, even though Miami, as we said, stinks this year. It's still Miami. It still looks good on the resume. I like it minus 19, minus 20. I think so. I think it does. Like I said, they need to win. They need to win big. Ultimately coming down to a battle versus North Carolina as the last game of the season. So, yeah, give me Clemson minus 19, 19.5, whatever it is. I have it 19.5 as my first best bet.
Okay.
What do you got for your second one, Chip?
Okay, so I wasn't going to do this, but I changed my mind. I'm going Ohio State minus 27.5.
Let's go.
Yeah. I have to do it. I've been down on Maryland all year, and I don't love Ohio State with a big number, and I've goofed on them on Twitter as not being able to cover big numbers. But man, I've been down on Maryland all year, and I've been right, and I think they stink. And Talia didn't even play well last week.
Nobody played well last week for Maryland.
No, I think they're done. I know they're at home. I think. Oh, you're talking about proving it to the college football playoff. I don't like if Ohio State wins out, they're in, obviously, but you want to be as high as possible in that, and you want to just pummel the bad teams that you play. So, yeah, I think they're going to beat up on Maryland pretty good.
I think so too. I'm staying away from it mainly just because I love Maryland, even though they have looked pretty bad the last 2 weeks. Every bone in my body says take Maryland, but just they look so bad. Really, the last 2 weeks. Wisconsin was not good 2 weeks ago. Last week against Penn State, I couldn't believe that they got shut out. So, and I agree with you, man. Like looking at Ohio State, they're kind of getting it rolling a little bit. They beat up on was it Indiana last week? Pretty good.
Indiana's so bad.
Yeah, and then but 2
That coach
weeks
is gonna
ago,
get fired.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago they played was it Northwestern, but they didn't kill Northwestern. That was kind of surprising. So I think to your point, Ohio State's back to kind of rolling a little bit. They know they need to win big. To your point, if they win out, for sure they're in. But even not, there's a lot of talk about a one-loss Ohio State, a one-loss Michigan making it in. If they're going to do that, they're going to have a good resume as a one-loss team. So absolutely killing Maryland by 30 or more points definitely helps. So I'm staying away just because I love Maryland, but I definitely agree with you. Maryland looks bad. Ohio State needs to win big. It's another reason why, for my second best bet of the day, I'm going with LSU. LSU minus 14.5 in the late window at home. They're sneaking up this rankings, man. They're sixth right now. From where they were at the beginning of the year, not looking good, kind of stumbling to where
Losing
they
to
are
Florida
now.
State, yeah.
Yeah, to where they are now. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see, especially with was Brian Kelly in his first year there. So, UAB, I think it's looked pretty good at certain spots, but 5-5 on the season. I don't know. I like LSU at home. To me, 14.5 points isn't too bad for LSU at home. And I just think it's a big time atmosphere. The swamp's buzzing, or not the swamp. The LSU stadium is buzzing right now. So, dude, give me LSU minus 14.5. 2 losses on the season hurts, but in the SEC, man, these guys have been beating each other up. So who knows where they can land at the end of the season?
Yeah. I mean, LSU's look like a completely different team. We all wrote off, we were all goofing on Brian Kelly after that first game, yeah, saying LSU fans were going to run him out of town already. You got to tip your cap to him. He's
Yeah.
done a fantastic job. But yeah, I like that pick. I think LSU's another team they want to beat up on people, make sure they get in.
Yeah, I mean, last 4 games they beat Florida, Mississippi State, or Ole Miss, Alabama. Both Ole Miss and Alabama were ranked at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and then Arkansas winning last week. So they've been doing pretty good in SEC play. Now they have UAB coming in here. I think they're gonna have to win, and they're gonna have to win big in order to keep this train rolling for them.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to your third best bet of the week.
I'm going back to Navy.
Okay.
And I went with the under in Navy Notre Dame last week, and that was a horrible pick. I watched the noon games at a bar, and I watched my parlay get eviscerated immediately. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Notre Dame and Navy I think Notre Dame almost hit the over by themselves in that game.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm not taking the total in the Navy UCF game. I'm taking Navy plus 16.5. And I know a lot of the money's on Navy. Yeah, so that scares me a little bit. But I love Navy as a double-digit dog. They covered in their last 2 as a double-digit dog against Cincy and Notre Dame. And they have 5 covers as a double-digit dog this season. I just trust them in this spot. And I know they're not the same team they usually are. They're 3-7, I think. But I don't know. They've covered this way before. They're pretty good against the spread in conference play. I like it's a weird early start time. I think that'll benefit them. 11 a.m. it's at.
Yep.
Well, I think it benefit that early start time benefits Navy and their style. So yeah, I like Navy here.
Yeah, I was thinking about making. We didn't even talk about this. I like Navy plus 16.5 as well. I was thinking about making this my revenge spite pick of the week, going against UCF. I absolutely hate them. They're so hit or miss. They're so high and low. There's a roller coaster ride, whatever you want to say about them. So they were up last week. They played great. Now I think they have Navy coming to town. Early kickoff on the East Coast, 11 a.m. I think this could be a major letdown spot. I also saw 2, I believe. Oh, no, there's a different one. But yeah, a lot of money is on Navy. I'm okay with that at this point, though. I think as the money comes in, I think more will go on UCF when we get closer to kickoff. But for now, I'm with you. I like Navy plus 16.5 for sure.
Yeah.
All right, my third and final best bet essentially pretty much a bet that I make every single week, and it does no wrong. Georgia is the most complete team in all of football, and they will beat was it Will Levis and Kentucky by
Ugh,
23 or
Levis
more
sucks.
points. I don't get all the hype about Will Levis, Will Levis, Will whatever you want to call him.
It doesn't matter how bad he plays. He keeps getting ranked one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL draft.
It's
It's insane to me.
insane. And watching him play, I'm just like, I would never want him on my team. I don't get it on an NFL level. He's a great college quarterback. I understand it, but making the transition to the
He's not a
NFL,
great college quarterback though. Is he like
he's uh, he's a great quarterback for college. Maybe is that the right way to say it? Like he runs. He's a big body. He has a pretty good arm.
he's hypothetically he could have put up good numbers,
Yeah,
but he didn't.
yeah. Like he reminds me of like a step down of like Malik Cunningham from like 2 years ago or a year ago when Malik Cunningham was like lighting it up and he was running and he was throwing and he was doing everything at Louisville. Now Will Levis is just a little bit bigger body, little bit stockier,
Yeah, but
but
I mean, yeah, and Kentucky has like legit talent. They've underachieved. No one's talking about it because, by the way, Mark Stoops is lucky it's a basketball school because if he played at a football school, he coached at a football school, he'd be in serious trouble.
they've fallen off, man. They started out really hot. They've lost 3 of the last 5, and
Yeah, the party's over at Kentucky football.
2 of them they should have
They
won.
had
South Carolina 5 weeks ago. I know it's a long time ago at this point. South Carolina is really not that great, and they were home. I feel like at South Carolina is a tough place to play. And then last week against Vanderbilt, I mean that's just crazy.
they lost to Vanderbilt
That's just
at home.
crazy. So you
At
can't do
home.
that. Um. So yeah, I mean, I like Georgia here. Like I said, they're gonna cover 23.5 points. They are by far the best team in college football. Um, and yeah, like I said, I take them every week. It's the one good thing I got going for me is that I was on Georgia early. I've been betting them every week. It's the only thing that keeps me afloat some weeks. So, all right, those are our 3 best bets of the week for week 12. Let's go back to the top of the slate. Let's start Saturday at noon. We talked about Navy already. That's 11 a.m. kickoff. I don't think there's anything else earlier than that.
No.
So let's go to noon. Chip, what do you got for a noon game on Saturday?
Yeah, we already got the Navy in there. I'm betting Michigan, Illinois. I'm not betting the spread in this one. I'm taking the under. I
Okay.
think it's at 41 and a half right now. There was Michigan was 38-3 last week, I believe. And I think it could be a similar sort of dominating performance this week. I think Illinois, well, I don't think, I know Illinois has been terrible the last few weeks. So I don't think they're going to get any better going into Ann Arbor. I
Yeah.
don't think their offense is going to improve. And they've been a little exposed. And yeah, I think Michigan's going to make pretty easy work of them.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is my spite pick of the week because I absolutely hate Illinois. I was talking them up for 3 or 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 weeks in they started stinking. They sucked really the last 2 weeks. Last week was atrocious against Purdue. So yeah, I got Michigan here minus 18 as my spite pick of the week. I think Michigan's gonna roll. They might start a little slow, so don't be alarmed if it's close at halftime. If they're only up a field goal or a touchdown or something like that, but Michigan's second half, I feel like they've been able to put it on these teams that are inferior. We talked about it with Ohio State, so I don't want to repeat too much, but you have to kill these teams if you're Michigan
Are
and
you
Ohio
taking
State
the
right now.
under or just the spread?
I'm taking just the spread minus 18. It's too tough. It's too tough to take minus 18 and under 41. You're really calling your shot there at like a 27-10 game or something like that. That doesn't even cover 27-9 game. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very small window. So 30-10, stuff like that. So I don't like trying to do that. If I was gonna go under, I'd probably take the points. I can't take Illinois. I was thinking about the under, but I don't know. For some reason, I think Michigan can score 30 to 40 by themselves. So
I
Illinois,
feel like Michigan, as good as they are, they never really have like a 50 or 40 point game, though. They never really do that.
Yeah, and I think they need to. I think they need to. That's the thing. It's like we're running out of time here. There's 2 or 3 weeks left at college football. I mean, like we were saying with the one loss, so Big Ten teams. One of these guys, if they lose, one of these guys are going to lose, and when they do lose, they're going to need a solid resume in order to get in the college football playoff if they even have a shot.
Yeah,
So
because they didn't put their win is Penn State. I guess yeah, they scored 41 against Penn State.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
their big win.
And I think Illinois can sneak a score too here. I think they can sneak a touchdown and then a couple field goals, maybe 2 field goals or something.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know they're 7-3. It's not like they're this terrible team, but man, they just had the Big Ten West and they just choked it away.
They really
That's
did.
why 2 games at home too. Michigan State and Purdue, like 2 very winnable games at home. Like they just choked their
Yeah,
whole season away, man.
yeah, and I don't know. I have no idea really what it was all about. Um, if they were just got too comfortable because they were ranked and people were talking about them, or like you said, they kind of got exposed. If coaches were like, "Oh, we have to pay attention to Illinois," and they started doing a lot more
Maybe.
research, a lot more tape, and it's just not very complicated once you start looking at it, what they're running. I'm not sure exactly. Um, a noon game for me that I'm so nervous. This is a pick I want to throw up when I place, and that means I love it. But this spread makes absolutely no sense. I do not get why TCU is -2.5 at Baylor. I feel like that has to be a typo. I don't understand why it's 2.5. I don't know if someone's hurt. Baylor stunk last week. I had them
Yeah.
my only over that I took last week, Chip, was Baylor versus Kansas State, and they absolutely stunk. They scored 3 points, and now TCU comes in here after a great win at Texas, undefeated season. I get that they're at Baylor, but who cares? Baylor's not that good, 6-4, and now the spread's 2.5 points. It's a
Well,
field goal game.
they were underdogs last week on the road against Texas.
Oh, that was crazy. I mean, I had that under. That was one of the easiest bets of the day. Like I said, the unders are so fun. I'm thinking about taking the under in this game, but for now, I'm taking TCU -2.5 because everything tells me I should be taking Baylor. This line makes absolutely no sense. It
Well,
should be 14, should be 13. I don't get why it's 2.5. So Vegas knows something. So I should take Baylor, but I'm flipping it and I'm going with TCU. Maybe it's a square pick, maybe it's a dumb pick. It makes me so nervous that I'm missing something, but I'm going with it. I'm going TCU -2.5 in the noon slate.
I'm doing the same thing as you, and it's because I got suckered into the Texas thing for the same reason you're describing Baylor. As I was like, oh, Texas must be favored by whatever they were, 8 or 9 or something like that,
Yeah, 7, 7, 8.
and
Yeah,
7, 8, 9, and because Vegas must know something. Why else would they be ranked over a team that's fourth in the college football playoff?
yeah,
Like, it's insane. And I was wrong. Yeah. Like Texas did what Texas does. They disappointed in a
yeah.
big game.
Yep.
So I think it's bizarre that TCU's only favored by 2.5, but people have been doubting TCU all year long. So Vegas also sets these lines knowing that people are going to bet Baylor if the spread is that. And people, look, when you have Stephen A. Smith going on TV and trashing TCU when he doesn't know what TCU stands for or a single player on the team or who the coach is, that feeds people. People are stupid enough they pour money into Baylor because of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
They just looked
nah,
so bad last week, Chip. They looked so bad.
nah.
I don't know why people. I don't know. Baylor just to me, I have them under 7.5 wins. I think that was an alternate line preseason. So they're at 6 right now. I need them to keep losing. We only have a couple games left. For me, this would be a big game because then they have Texas next week and they're done. That would be huge. So give me TCU -2.5. What
Yeah,
else you got
I'll
in
take
this
that too.
12 o'clock
Yeah, I
slate?
took the TCU also. The another noon game. Army plays UConn, and I wanted so badly to take UConn, but all of the money is on that. And as much as they've improved, and as much as I think Jim Mora should be considered coach of the year, it scares me that much money is on UConn football on the road against Army. So I'm going with the under instead of the spread there. It's 43.5 I'm looking at right now.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, I always like unders when Army or Navy or Air Force is playing. I particularly like them in this case, 43.5.
I'm with you, Chip. I'm trying to convert you to be an under
Mm.
guy. I'm an under guy.
Yeah.
I love Army. I think Army has a shot at overs when they play an inferior opponent. I was looking at their I was kind of looking at this before we started recording today. Because UConn is 9-2 against the spread
Yeah.
this season, but they're UConn's not great. I think they're 3-6 to the over. So they hit a lot of unders. Army has scored and they've been able to get some overs throughout the season, but it was against Colgate, it was against ULA Monroe, it was against teams like that, Villanova, Texas San Antonio, and then Coastal Carolina, but Coastal Carolina is like a real team. I think UConn's pretty good, man. Like you said, Jim Moore's doing a great job this season. Got them back on track. So I think that when they play a good team, they played Troy a couple weeks ago. It was 10-9. Air Force a couple weeks ago was 13-7. It can really get low. So 43.5. I feel like that's a nice cushion for Army, UConn. Let's hope it ends, 14-10 or something like that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything else in the noon slate. Do you have any other noon games? I have a 2 o'clock.
I got just these two teams stink under Wisconsin, Nebraska.
Okay.
Although I'm not sure Wisconsin stinks just because, I don't know, I don't want to write them off quite yet just because I have faith just because of the name
Yeah.
Wisconsin, but I know Nebraska stinks.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the under there. It's 39. I like the under there.
I like that add to my card. There's a
Yeah.
Wisconsin
And
under 39.
everything in my bones makes me not want to bet Sparty at home -10 against Indiana.
Yeah.
But Indiana sucks, and they especially suck on the road.
And they
But
just played
Michigan's-
Michigan. They just played Michigan. Now they have to go back to Michigan State.
I don't know. What do you think? Are you betting that game, or are you staying away?
I was thinking about Michigan State in that game, but we've talked. You've led the charge, and I agree with you. Michigan State is just bad this season, but the last couple weeks they've looked okay. Chip, they haven't looked terrible. They've beaten teams they should have beaten, and I feel like Michigan State should win this game against Indiana.
They absolutely should win.
Yeah, 10 points is not a ton of points. Like that's not hard to cover when you're playing college football. So it wasn't a bad pick. I was thinking about it. I definitely was. I'm staying away from that one, but I was definitely thinking about it.
For now I'm staying away from it.
Well, that's a great call to action to follow us on Twitter. Chip Murphy 7, Winning P Weekly on Twitter. You can find our picks. We interact about the games. We chop it out there. So maybe by game time, Chip will take it. So he'll tweet it out.
Yeah, I'll probably talk myself into it.
Yeah. All right, my 2 o'clock game, 2:15. I love Oregon State -8 at Arizona State. Arizona State is not good. Oregon State, I feel like, is okay, but they're great against the spread. 8-2 against the spread on the season right now, covering by an average of 10 points. They've covered their last 3 games against Cal, Washington, and Colorado. Like I said, Arizona State is just not very good. 3-7 on the year. They haven't covered a game since Stanford on October 22nd, almost a month ago. Yeah, just not very good. So I think Oregon State's pretty good. Definitely a good covering the spread. And then Arizona State has covered 4 games all season. So, and they hit a little stretch in the middle, the start of October 1st, 8th, and 22nd they covered, and then after that they haven't covered. So yeah, give me Oregon State. That's just looking at the numbers. That's not really a vibe on either team. I don't know too many people on either team. I talked about Oregon State in the beginning of the year. I bet them a little bit in the beginning of the year. Have kind of stayed away from them, and it's probably the reason why I'm not doing as good. I probably should have stuck with them because they've been covering. So I'm back to it. Oregon State -8 on the road at Arizona State.
I'm gonna add that to my card. Yeah, after for some reason, I stopped fading Arizona State like I was doing.
Yeah.
But there's some teams you got to fade. And speaking of teams you got to fade, despite beating North Carolina State, I'm going to keep fading Boston College.
Okay.
And I know it's a big number, and we were talking about it earlier, but Notre Dame -20.5 at home against Boston College. I'm taking Notre Dame. I just think, again, fading Boston College, I think they're bad. So,
yeah, Notre Dame's looked pretty good the last few weeks.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, Boston
Look,
College.
their offense I know it's Navy, but their offense look legit. And I think they're going to be able to put up some points against Boston College. And Boston College's offense isn't going to do anything against Notre Dame's defense.
Yeah, I know you threw that caveat in there, like it's Navy, so their offense looked good. It was their lowest scoring game in 4 weeks, Chip. They scored 35 against Navy, but they scored 35 against Clemson, 41 at Syracuse, 44 UNLV. Their offense is finding their rhythm. Yeah. I mean, it took them a little while to get going here. They lost their first 2 games of the season, but since then they're 7-1, beating pretty good teams. Have a nice win against North Carolina, nice win against Clemson and Syracuse. So yeah, I like it, and I feel like this. I don't know if there's a rivalry game, but I feel like there's a little bit of a matchup here between BC and Notre Dame. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up in my head.
Maybe. I mean, Boston College, East Coast. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably something. There's always something between Notre Dame and the schools they play.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. So, all right. You got anything else before we get to these 3:00 games?
No, that's it.
All right, we talked about 2 already. I talked about Clemson. I talked about Georgia. Those are 2 of my best bets. I got one other game here in the 3:00 slate, and I've talked about betting the unders and absolutely loving the unders. So I'm sure you already know what it is. It is going to be Iowa, and they are at home, I believe.
No, at Minnesota.
At Minnesota, that's correct. Under is 32.5, and I absolutely love it.
I'm on this with you, too.
I don't think either team's very good. I think Iowa's defense is pretty good. Minnesota's defense is pretty good, too. Yeah, I'm just addicted to the unders. I think they're exciting. I think they're fun. And the numbers keep getting lower. Eventually it's going to go over. I don't know when it is, but right now I'm going under. It was low against Rutgers at Iowa. Over-under was low against Rutgers. But Iowa got 2 pick sixes or defensive touchdowns to hit that over. Since then, I haven't really seen the defensive touchdowns from Iowa. And they've been going under. So, yeah, I love them. I'm keep going with them.
It's fascinating how Iowa's football team gets like the lowest point totals, and their basketball team's point totals are in like the 160s sometimes. And like just the absolute contrast with their schools, with the 2 major sports. But no, yeah, for sure I'm on the under here. How long until Iowa football is their point totals are in like the 20s? It's coming where they get like a 28 over under, and everybody's like, oh man, I gotta take that just because it's Iowa.
They're running out of time. I mean, they got Nebraska next week and it's over. So
Nebraska, that's gonna be low too. Imagine Nebraska gets shut out by Wisconsin or something like that, or puts up a field goal.
I could see a 29.5 last game of the season. Let's make it happen.
Damn.
How does Iowa? I get it's the head coach's son as the offensive coordinator, right? That's the thing going on in Iowa.
Yeah.
How do you not move on? Like if you're the head coach, you're gonna lose your job, dude. I mean,
he's not getting fired. He's coach for life.
Yeah, they're 6-4. They're also not like terrible, but they just have no offense.
No, that defensive coordinator is a freaking genius, huh?
Yeah, he's gonna get poached. He's gonna get poached. All right, what do you got in this 3 o'clock slate, Chip? Like I said, I got 3 games. We talked about them all already, so rattle them off if you got some more.
Well, I got the Zips. I know that.
Okay.
Akron playing against Buffalo. I typically take the Zips when they're at home, but I like them here on the road, plus 14. It's probably the 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I like Akron this year. I know their record's bad. They played well against the spread. I like them. I Buffalo's been a little disappointing recently. I thought they may pull away and win the MAC actually. I like Akron to not necessarily win, but to maybe keep it close against Buffalo on the road. And it's a weird. They're playing on Saturday. The MAC team's not playing during the week. It's interesting. I like Akron here.
Dude, I'm with you. I'm actually going to add this to my card too. It was 3 o'clock slate just because of the weather. We
Yeah.
talked about checking the weather. Like I know they're saying in Buffalo they moved the NFL game because they're expecting 3 to 4 feet of snow. They're getting snow right now. They got 8 inches today. They're getting 8 inches tonight. They're expecting another 1 to 3 inches Saturday morning. They're expecting another 1 to 3 inches Saturday in the evening. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of snow. For a college
Well, they
stadium.
well they played Central Michigan, Western Michigan in a snowstorm.
Yeah, right. And this is probably the same type of thing they're going to be expecting in that Buffalo game. So yeah, I like Akron plus 14 there too in the 3 o'clock game. All right, what else you got in the 3 o'clocks?
3 o'clock. I kind of like. I want to bet Auburn again, just because Cadillac Williams. I love them. They're only favored by 4.5 at home against Western Kentucky. And I know Western Kentucky is very good for Conference USA team coming in playing an SEC team. So it's probably not like too big an insult to say they're only favored by 4.5.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something feels a little off about that. Maybe they got their big interim coach bump win, so maybe stay away from it. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna take Auburn. Fuck it. Cadillac Williams. I love the guy. Minus 4.5. I'm going with him. So I'm taking Auburn. Yeah, I'm taking that's no that well that's 4 o'clock technically.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I'm taking Auburn minus 4.5 at home. And where is Arkansas +2 against Ole Miss at home? Because I watched Arkansas, the entire Arkansas LSU game,
Yeah.
and I liked what Arkansas did.
Yeah, I like that backup quarterback that played looked really quick.
Mm-hmm. He looked good. I may actually go Arkansas money line
Okay.
because yeah.
Another game that's kind of in between the 3 o'clock and the 7 o'clock slate. 5:30 kickoff. UNC Georgia Tech 63 points is the over under. Who cares about the spread? I'm addicted to the unders.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina, they can score. They got no defense, so the over unders are very high. I don't know what to expect from Georgia Tech. I feel like they are hit or miss as it gets. Last week only able to score 14 points against Miami. I mean, that's just embarrassing. So, give me the under 63 in this game. I think it stays under that number. Sure. Can UNC put up 60 themselves? Yes. So that worries me a little bit, especially against Georgia Tech's defense. But I think it stays under that number there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the. Do you have the numbers on at UNC's totals, like their over under totals? I don't have that in front of me.
I could look it up for sure.
I don't know what they do, but yeah, the totals for them definitely get set really high, and Georgia Tech doesn't have the firepower for that. That's why they're favored by 21. But 63 is a lot to take an over when Carolina's playing against a bad team. I know their defense stinks, but that doesn't mean that a bad offense is going to put up points against it. So I like the idea of taking the under here.
They are 5-5
Yeah,
on the
that sounds
over
about
under
right.
so far this season.
When teams always get their totals set super high, they never hit them like 8 out of 10 times or something crazy like that.
Yeah, last two games have gone under for him too, so I think the word's kind of out on him. I mean, 61 last week was 79. Um, so yeah,
Hmm.
I like the under in that one. Um, Another game I have in this kind of weird, kind of in between spot, game that just sticked out to me looking at the numbers a little bit here. Trying to find who they're playing. I love California against Cal against Stanford. I like Cal minus 4.5. I think that they've been pretty good against the spread this season. I was just looking at this spread, against the spread kind of website that I have here, just kind of looking at different teams. I feel like they've been covering pretty well. Stanford, on the other hand, has not. Maybe a little West Coast rivalry game. Pac-12 is kind of getting a little weird. Both teams are not very good, but Cal, I think, is all right. Cal minus 4.5. Haven't been winning a lot of games, but I think they've been covering here and there, if I remember that correctly.
Stanford's coach is about to get fired, so it's going to be interesting to see how they play down the stretch with the lame duck coach angle.
Yeah, and all the money's on Cal too. So I'm also just kind of we're recording this early. 85% of the money right now is on Cal. I'm kind of tailing the sharps a little bit. Someone knows something. They have a reason to bet a lot of money. I have a reason to bet $50 to tail them. So give me
I'm not
Cal
sure
minus four
any.
and a
I'm
half.
not sure Cal should ever have that much money on them, but
Yeah,
I guess Stanford is so bad. So I guess it does make it's a little bit of sense. Stanford's been atrocious.
yeah. They've been again another hit or miss team. All right, what do we got for the 7 o'clock slate? Chip, you got any other games?
I don't think so. I don't because I already took Bedlam. I already took Oak State, Oklahoma. That was my only 7:31.
I
Sound
got
7:31.
I got two for you.
Okay.
I talked about South Carolina being a tough place to play at home.
Mm.
They're hosting Tennessee this week. I think the spread is minus 22. Yeah, 22 over under 66. Again, Tennessee one loss, needs to keep winning. They killed Mizzou last week. I think South Carolina's just bad. Usually they're a tough place to play. I think
Mm.
they've just fall off. They lost to Mizzou 3 weeks ago. They beat Vandy. They lost to Florida 38-6 last week.
That was bad.
Florida's not very good. They're not, they're not like incredible. They're also not terrible. But 38-6, that's tough. They're scoring 29 points a game. They're allowing 26 points a game. Not a ton of yards, 355 yards compared to Tennessee's 550. I think Tennessee comes in here and just rolls. 7 o'clock game for me that I absolutely love. I love Tennessee minus 22.
Yeah, I get that. It looked like South Carolina. It looked like their two big wins. Remember, were against Kentucky and Texas A&M, and then it turned out both those teams stink.
Yeah.
And then they lost at home to Missouri, which is bad. And then they got, just routed by Florida. And now, after all that hype after the Kentucky game and the A&M game, it looks like they're probably just going to end up 6-6, which I think they were last year after the regular season. So, look, not a disaster of a season, but they probably would have liked to be like 7-5 or 8-4, which they should have been. They should have beat Missouri at home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
As a bad
crazy.
loss.
It's crazy. So another
But
game I
hey, at least
got.
they didn't lose to Vandy.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
could be Kentucky.
I mean, if you lose to Missouri and you lose to Vandy, you're in trouble.
That's
Your
a
program's in
nightmare
trouble.
season. Yeah.
Yeah. John can't be with us this week because he's actually traveling to the West Coast. He's going to USC, UCLA. So I gotta bet some money on it. I can't wait to hear about it next week. Hopefully, when he's back and on to tell us about this stadium, the atmosphere, and everything. I'm going UCLA at home plus 2.5. I think Chip Kelly gets the guys going. I like UCLA's offense. I just think it's going to be a close game. So give me 2.5 points. Isn't a ton of points. It sucks, but give me those 2.5 points, and hopefully what matters, UCLA at home.
Well, obviously, I'm taking USC.
Let's go.
And I don't know where you're getting the 2.5. I guess FanDuel has it at 2.5. I have DraftKings as SC minus 2.
Oh, okay. I see it on Action Network as 2 or 2.5, depending on what
Whatever.
sport book
It'll.
you're
I'm
on.
sure it'll. I'm sure it'll fluctuate
Yeah.
leading up. We're recording this Thursday night.
Let's make it
I'm sure
2.
it'll move. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I've been on high on SC all year.
Yes.
I have a future for them to win the national championship. I want them to win as much as possible right up until the end of the season. So I'm all in on SC. I will admit I was totally wrong about UCLA. I thought I took the under on their season. I was wrong. They've already outplayed their preseason win total, but I'm taking SC still. And by the way, the point total is 76 in this game. Jesus Christ!
It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. Part of me just wants to take the under. Um, but you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna take the under. You
You're
said it was
going from UCLA to the under. Or you're taking both.
nah. I'm just taking the under
Oh,
76.
come on! You got to bet the spread in this one.
No. You know who
This
is
is
who is
well,
betting the spread is
John.
John.
Yeah, and I wonder who he's taking.
He's going UCLA. He's
Of
also going
course.
TCU, and then he's going Bo Nix and Oregon if Bo Nix is playing. If not, he's hammering Utah. So that leads us to our 10 o'clock slate, the late games. I like Utah with or without Bo Nix. I don't care. Utah was my original preseason pick. John's preseason pick was Oregon and Bo Nix. He's been more right than me. Cam Rising has not looked like he did the last year or so when he was playing late in the season. He looked great. This season, not so much. Bo Nix has looked incredible. He's revived this season.
Revived
his career.
his life.
Yeah, he's revived his career this season. So shout out to him. I hope he's healthy. I hope he plays. And even if he does play, I like Utah -2 on the road in Oregon. I think the defense is the factor here. I don't know. We'll see. But I think both these teams can score. This could be
So
a high total.
you're taking Utah even with Bo Nix.
Yep.
So I don't know. The
I think
Oregon.
I
No, go
think
ahead.
Vegas knows he's not going to play. That's why
Yeah.
why Utah's favorite.
Yeah, I think I'm going Utah -2 after Oregon against Washington last week was just a disappointing performance. Put them out of it. Yeah, I'm going with Utah on the road.
Yep. I'm with you. If it was Utah at home, it'd be 6, 7 points because it's tough to play in Utah when it gets dark out. Oregon, they just don't scare me. All right, I think that wraps it up. You got anything else in these late windows, Chip, or is that it? We're ending on Utah.
I want to take Cuse, obviously.
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't talk about that. Are you going to take anything? Was it Syracuse plus 10
Syracuse,
at Wake?
Syracuse +10 at Wake, but man, Wake is due for a win. They need a win bad, so you know they ain't losing.
I feel like is Syracuse still banged up?
Their defense is super banged up.
Yeah.
Like their defense is like they're bringing guys off the practice squad to play who've never played before,
Yeah.
and Sam Hartman's just gonna light them up. And Cuse's offense looks all out of whack. It looks bad. So I want to take the under. So it's 56, and I just don't think they're betting on Cuse's offense looking like it did early in the year because I guess Wake's defense isn't very good. Cuse's offense just has looked weird. Sean Tucker hasn't even played like Sean Tucker. And yeah, I like the under 56 in the Cuse game.
All right, that's a good place to end it there. Again, you can follow us anywhere podcasts are available, Winning Picks Weekly. You can follow him, Chip Murphy7, on Twitter, us, Winning P Weekly. John will put his picks out. I'll put my picks out. We'll retweet Chip's picks. We'll talk about the games. College football, NFL, World Cup coming up on Sunday. Get those picks in. Get those futures in. It's going to be exciting. Of course, we're on YouTube, as always, on the Knicks, Jets, etc. YouTube page. We have our own playlist there, Winning Picks Weekly playlist. You can find these college football episodes. You can find the NFL episodes I do with John. Anything else we throw in there. I'm sure we'll be talking a little basketball at some point. We'll be talking a little World Cup when that gets going next week. A lot to gamble on right now. So let us know what you like. Like, subscribe. We're on Twitter. wherever podcasts are available. And we'll see you guys next week.